Okay, it's the time, so let's get started. Welcome everyone. Today is February 28th. This is the Database Scalability Working Group weekly update. And I'll get started from the agenda. First item is a significant update since the last meeting. And first bullet, number A, is from me, update from the sharding group. So very excited to acknowledge that the decomposition run a fully decomposed pipeline and it turned green. This is actually a precursor of the phase 7, the last phase of rollout success. So this is a precursor. We're still not there yet, but it's really great to see that we can run the fully decomposed pipeline. And this is essentially demonstrates that we can already run GitLab with two completely different databases, and our solution works as designed. So the IMAR is now merged. Although it's just a couple lines changed, but there's tons of work behind it. So, so good news to share. Any questions? Okay, then move on to next few items from the sharding group. So phase 4, the next step is documented, and we are planning to tackle this in a staging environment first. That's the first rollout of phase 4. However, we're yielding the priority to phase 3 production deployment right now because we'll mention that later. Then we need to think about disaster recovery, the mechanisms and the strategy. And a task force was formed for this brainstorming. The task force consists of Camille, Fabian, Jose, Rafael, and Gonzalo. And then last item from the sharding group is performance concerns surfaced for a phase 6 issue actually, and the viability of the current approach. So the problem is the deep hierarchy of groups that cause the performance problem, and progress is being made and now targeting 14.9. Any questions?
John, on the disaster recovery issue, Geo is being talked about in there. I didn't see it mentioned explicitly in the issue.
No, this is not a field. This is more about operational, how we have a strategy and a mechanism to react to some disaster in the production environment, like how we can restore the service and how we can recover the data if something happens.
So this is specific.
Yeah.
This is specifically, Eric, when we actually have all of the CI tables replicated to a separate database cluster, and we need to essentially perform a failover. That should be fairly quick, but we have to establish, if something goes wrong in that process, what do we do, to go back, how do we recover from this?
Okay, so specific to the decomposition capability.
That's correct.
The capabilities we gain from decomposition. Got it, thanks.
Yes, the idea is like when we're gonna be deploying, we're definitely gonna be doing some kind of validation phase with testing, but we're also gonna open doors. So if we discover some kind of failure, we need to be able to assess if this is a rollback trigger. We need to define a window in which we allow the rollback to happen, because after some point we simply may be better to fix instead of to rollback. And we need to understand the implications for whether we are fine with data loss and what kind of data loss would be, or whether we are not fine with data loss. So if we split databases, main and CI, and we see an error in 5th minute after the deployment, but our rollback window is defined by 30 minutes. Do we rollback now? If we rollback, what type of data we lose? Probably some kind of CI traces, some other machine-generated data. And the question gonna be like, before when we define this disaster recovery plan, how are we willing to lose data to speed up iteration of rolling? out changes, because we're gonna be deploying that probably in that time there is like the least amount of the traffic. We're gonna be defining the times, the windows for this. So we're gonna be actually evaluating risk versus benefit versus the cost associated and the likelihood of this occurring, to figure out actually like basically our willingness, if we are fine with lose some amount of the machine generated data, or if we are not fine, and what is the criteria that would trigger the rollback, what kind of metrics to look at. This is exactly the type of the disaster recovery. It's right after the deployment of the actual decomposition to the production.
Yeah, I like defining all that stuff ahead of time. That's really smart. And if you need you generate a plan and you want someone to kind of look at it and punch holes in it, I recommend Jerry, I think, is on the call to kind of see if he sees any potential gaps.
Yes, because like I think in the end we're gonna give our recommendation, but it's really like probably product slash Jerry slash executive decision, what we actually, how we want to tackle that, given the anticipated likelihood of scenario occurring and the risk associated with that. So we're definitely gonna be extensively discussing that to figure out the best approach for all of us.
Shall we invite Jerry to this task force too?
Yeah, there is an issue in the infrastructure queue that we open to participate in this as well. I don't have it handy. I've been looking for it. Ken is driving that, but yes, do add me to that workforce or to that group.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. But it's also really exciting to be able to talk about that right now, because we're getting to the point where we intend to make that change, and now we need to think about the risks associated with it. But it's an exciting next phase.
Yeah, the difficult part of this conversation is going to be deciding what are the acceptable risks, right? So we can think of strange things that can happen, but just throw in the lines of when the decision to move forward or roll back, we need to figure out what those thresholds are. So, and those are the really important ones. Luckily, we've done this in the past with the GCP migration, so we have some prior art to go back to at least guide how we're going to think about this problem.
Yeah, I think my preference would be, we think about all of the possibilities ahead of time, then we make a recommendation, say like, this is, I think, what we should do, but there's always going to be risk associated with it. And I think this is what Eric and Sid at some point and other executive stakeholders need to understand, and then say like, yes, this is acceptable, or we need to actually do something different.
Right. And the risk is the severity of something were to happen multiplied by the likelihood that it's going to happen. If you can give us both those things, it's easier to process.
Cool. Move on to next bullet. Sam, is Sam or Cheryl here? No, I can just update. As far as I know, there is just one more issue remaining for phase 4 for the ops team. So they're working on that, and on the dev team, all the phase 4 issues were resolved. So there are still phase 6 issues outstanding in both ops and the dev, but we can wait for a bit more time. And is Steve here for infrastructure update? No. Okay. I'll follow up offline with Steve, but we do have a few items below here. Moving on to the review rollout progress. Our confidence level of the timeline still remains at 50%. I have 2 bullets here. Development outstanding issues continue trending down, and the confidence level is high. On the other hand, the deployment is behind. So see the risks below in bullet 4. But overall, our confidence level remains unchanged at 50%. Any questions? Okay, then the chart is here showing our issues burn up you can see the green line. The green line is actually the remaining outstanding issues. So it continues to drop from development perspective. Okay, then the risk section, really, we have two risks here. First one is the primary PG cluster reboot. That is a blocker to our phase 3 production deployment. And the deployment already was 2 weeks overdue. So I'm asking if there is a new ETA of the reboot so that we can move forward with to the production deployment. Steve is not here, so I will follow up with Steve after the meeting.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Ken, actually, who's the squad lead for the database. And I know that there was a change issue submitted for last Thursday to do this, and for some reason it was canceled. I don't have the details. But Ken should know when this is going to happen.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. Also, thank you for being Ken. And the next one actually is a request. So Jose actually suggested having a dedicated SRE moving forward because there is a loaded backlog now, and there is plenty of deployment tasks we can work on. And that will be likely sustainable workload moving forward. So it's better to have a dedicated SRE to ride along with the DBREs. So I'll also raise to Steve and Ken on this. Thank you, Jerry, for your suggestion. Any questions about the two bloggers? Okay, moving on to the last bullet is the end of the month. So review the timelines, basically repeat what we are looking for help from infrastructure. The phase 3 production deployment is behind the schedule. So we'll continue to work on that. And also phase 4 staging deployment is basically we can start now. There is just two more outstanding issues, but those are the corner cases if we can, and it will not slow down the phase 3 production deployment. We can start to work on that now. So Fabian, you want to verbalize your comment?
Yeah, it's minor. We still have a few outstanding, or like 2 or 3 issues in review. They're going to close very soon. We're also already deploying the phase 450K reference architecture, so it's looking pretty good. We're quite happy about the progress the team has made.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me. 3 open issues. I thought there were only 2, but good to correct me. Okay, questions about the timeline and the other items? Okay, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.